Hey all, welcome to Share Trek. This is Raj here. Guys, today I'm introducing a new segment in our channel. Friends of the channel, John, Sam, and Jesse got together and we had a good chat, and we thought that the chat was good enough to put into the channel. We were chatting about ChatGPT, just shooting the breeze. And what happened was that the conversation turned out to be really good. It was on a Zoom call. I have recorded it, but I'm not as experienced in handling Zoom calls. So we have had a little bit of technical glitches here and there, but I'm pretty sure that going forward, we'll be able to manage all the time lag and other things and get really good quality video. But for right now, please enjoy our chat and just let me know in the comment what you think about it. Because we are canning a few more episodes to release down the line. And I think we are planning either Thursday of every week or once in every 2 weeks we would release an episode. So we are still working it out based on the availability of friends for the schedule. And if you want us to discuss about some particular topic, please put it in the comments below and we'll definitely consider that. And I hope you enjoy what you're going to see. Let's get started. Hey all, welcome. Hi, this is Raj here, and I have my friend John, Sam, and Jesse out here. All our friends of the channel, and today we decided to get together and have a little chat about ChatGPT, which is the latest craze in town. So we are all wondering how it is operating and what we feel about it. So we thought, why not get together, have a chat? So I have actually used ChatGPT in one of my episodes. You guys must have seen it, where I was chatting with ChatGPT and trying to ask it questions about genomics, and it made a lot of mistakes when it came to AGT. It did not know. It seems that it has got a September 2021 cutoff. It doesn't have knowledge beyond September 2021. And that's the reason why it did not know that Bluebird had got FDA authorization for Zynteglo. And when I told it, it went, found out, and confirmed. And he said, I apologize. And this is the latest information. So I was wondering if any of you have had interaction with ChatGPT, or what are your thoughts on it?
I think John is the only one who's actually knee deep in it, aren't you, John?
Yep, I've played around with it for the past few weeks now. You see a lot of YouTube videos on it, so there's a lot of information out there. I tried to do some practical use cases. So I solve problems for a living, and that often involves computer code. So I thought, well, okay, so I have a very specific way of writing code for database access. There's a couple of classes that I'll write, and it's pretty much, I write them per table. So I decided, well, I wonder if I can train ChatGPT into knowing what I call a DTO, which is data transport object, and DAO, a data access object. I wonder if I could train ChatGPT to understand what those things are and get it to generate stuff for me pretty easily. And so on the positive side, the short answer to that question is yes. It did surprisingly well. The two most impressive things it did, and there'll be a separate episode. I recorded one of my experiences with this, and we'll put that out as an episode. But the two most impressive things I found about ChatGPT was, number one, I was able to actually give it SQL code that generated a table and tell it, give me a C# data transport object based on this schema. So it was reading SQL Server code, SQL code, and translating into C#.
Wow, okay. That's amazing.
it blew my mind. The hairs on the back of my neck kind of stood up. Well, that used to be there.
I think in that
The
case
other
we
thing,
have to.
yeah.
I think, John, sorry to interrupt you. I think in that case
Yeah.
we have to have a separate episode for how ChatGPT can impact employment, because
Yeah.
if it can do such highly specialized thing.
I actually address that at the end of the video.
Okay.
I do my observations, and then at the end I ask the question: should I be intimidated by this? And my answer is no. In fact, I'm the opposite of intimidated by it. I am extremely excited about the prospects of where this thing can take me. Okay, because quite frankly, there's code that I have to write, and then there's code that I want to write. Okay. And the code that I have to write is the tedious stuff. It's the stuff that, okay, in order for me to click the Legos together, I have to have Legos first. I have to make the Legos, right? And making the Legos is boring. Okay. Clicking them together is the exciting part. Clicking them together in new and exciting ways. And so if I can find a tool that will build the Legos for me, I'm way ahead of the game. So, and ChatGPT has the potential to be that tool. The other thing that I found extremely interesting about the tool is the fact that it seems to derive more from context than from what you are actually typing. Because yeah, it is. It's very intuitive. So I had a number of misspelled words, misplaced words. I was at times intentionally ambiguous. Okay, and based on context, I never tripped it up. Okay. There was a time where I misspelled a variable name that I wanted it to add to a class. And because it was of a certain data type, it realized that I had misspelled the variable name and corrected the spelling. And that just freaked me out. Okay. So the experience of getting this thing to write code, I have, for various employers over various points in time of the year or time of my career, there have been a lot of attempts at writing code generators. So I've reviewed a bunch of them for various employers. My experience has been that the interaction is just tedious. You are just fighting with this thing, trying to get code out of it. This was a completely different experience. It was a very natural experience. It was more like a conversation between two developers than it was me fighting with a tool. Okay. So those are all the positive things. Now, having done the same demo like 3 or 4 times, I will say this. The downside to this tool is that it is consistently inconsistent across attempts. Okay. So if you start a new session and try to do the same thing 3 or 4 times in a row, you're going to get
A different
sometimes subtle and sometimes not so subtle differences. So this will all become apparent in the follow-up video to this.
Yeah, I think, John, I think that we'll take your follow-up video and put it immediately after this, after we finish this video. This will be the first episode of our discussion. And the second one, we'll put your video there so people can see how ChatGPT interacts. And Jesse, I was curious, like you are not a technical person from the point of view of programming, just like John was, but John is.
No,
rather.
but I'm very good at using hammers, and I can weld.
So how do you?
Oh man, I would love to learn how to weld.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
so
good
cool.
at it.
How do you visualize?
So, I really thought that ChatGPT was just another fad, another meme stock thing. Like, oh, here we go. the YouTuber Meet Kevin does a, here's my top 10 Chat GPT stocks to invest in. And I just like, and then the company that I work for a Fortune 500 utility company leading in the United States. And when our CEO came back from Sweden, the Davos World Economic Forum, and she was talking about how leading utilities in the world are using Chat GTP, and Palantir is using Chat GTP, and they all go together and work together. I thought to myself, whoa, maybe there's something more to this. And this was very recent. This was only a couple of weeks ago. So that really made me pause and reconsider how I viewed Chat GTP. So now I'm looking at it more of, okay, so maybe this isn't a fad or a meme stock. This is something that should be taken seriously.
Yeah, I had been thinking of Chat GPT a bit seriously, but when Microsoft announced that they're going to put $9 billion into it, then my antenna kind of got up. I said, if Microsoft is going to put $9 billion in there, that means the proof of concept is not smoke and mirrors. It's actually something really solid out there, which Microsoft thinks that they can link to their Microsoft Office suite. That's what Satya Nadella said.
What are your top 10 Chat GTP stocks?
Not
a financial investor.
that will be a subsequent thing, but we are a genomics channel, so I'll be kind of limited to genomics. But on YouTube, I bet there'll be
I think it's all going to come together. This all comes together.
Yes.
I think it's all part of it.
Yeah.
Well, I tend to agree that it's going to come together, but I'm not necessarily sure in a good way.
Sure.
My background is I don't do a lot of programming anymore in my old age, other than
you're not too old, Sam. You're young. You're not old. It's all a state of mind.
So my programming
it's just
is
a number, Sam. In your case, a very big number, but I do write for Quora and Reddit, and one of the things I've noticed is how much more intelligent the Microsoft Word correction facility features have gotten in the last 2 years. Not just did you misspell it, but actually correcting it, saying basically, hey, you spelled the word in this context wrong.
Yes.
And so I see that as something that is behind what you're seeing with Chat GTP when John mentioned that it corrected the name of the variable. I think I see that.
I think my phone's gotten worse.
Pardon?
No, it's okay.
I think my phone has gotten worse at that.
It's gotten worse at that.
It misspells stuff. It's like, well, that's not what I meant,
Well, you know what? If you use iMessage, its correction features are, known to drive people crazy.
Now that you mentioned, Sam.
But when you see the English being generated correctly, it gives you a wonderment about what the future will bring when you're teaching kids in school. I just read an article about what happened to cursive writing, which when we were all growing up was a major feature. Yeah. It's not even taught anymore, and why
It'll
not?
be right there with driving a manual.
Now what happens when they don't bother to teach you English at all? Basically say, don't worry, just talk it, and don't worry how to write it, and let this program or whatever they call it at that time write it down for you. So it leads to questions in a lot of directions. I just finished an article where a teacher at Wharton, I think it was, Wharton, actually gave a test to Chat GTP, and it said he would have given it a B to a B minus. that's pretty amazing, because
that's pretty good for an automated system. But Sam,
better than half the class.
Sam, as you mentioned, right, now that I think about it, I have found that when I use Gmail to send emails to somebody, and if I had mentioned that I've attached something and I have not attached it, it asks me, attachment not included, do you want to
Yeah,
continue?
Outlook does that too.
Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and
Outlook does that
also
too.
subject.
Yeah.
If you don't put the subject line there, it says without subject. And while you're bringing this topic up, Sam, I was thinking that my major concern, which I used to talk to everybody who would like to listen, was that with the advent of WhatsApp and chat systems, people started mutilating the English language. They would purposefully misspell everything and abbreviate it. And I was thinking that English is going to mutate into something like Klingon or something like that, where you won't understand it. You have to listen carefully. And then you'll have to use some thought process. Like these young people are way younger than us, and their context is different. And they come up with a lot of things and they abbreviate it. Now, my concern is that we are going to be dumber as a civilization, because what we will be smart at doing is to use AI system to solve our problem. But if AI for some reason goes away, we won't even be able to do the basic things. Like without calculator, like I come from India, and out there, we are taught manual mathematics. So until I left India, I was able to compute everything in my mind, and the numbers would come quickly for all the transactions. Now I see myself using calculator because I've gotten used to it. My thought process has become lazy. It's not like I can't do it. It's just the lethargy. Just pick up the phone, open the calculator, and get it done. Right? Now, something similar to that is likely to happen with ChatGPT, because students are going to start to use it. And I saw a discussion on TVO, which is TV Ontario. It has got a lot of really good programming. So in that, one of the participants in that discussion said, it's okay if students use it because they are learning how to use ChatGPT to solve a problem. But as a teacher, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to use ChatGPT to grade your work. If it's good enough for you to use it to do the assignment, then it's good enough for me to use it to grade your work. So
well, I'll say, back when the internet was first coming about, it was, the perception was that we're going to have, basically the knowledge of the world is going to be available to everyone, and everyone's going to be so much smarter for that now moving forward. And it's coming to be that that's not necessarily,
we know how it turned up.
Here we are now going, questioning how smart people are.
Jesse,
Jesse, though, you do bring up a point, and that is part of the problem is that with the internet, you can get good information and you can get bad information just easily.
And
with
probably
like this is,
and sometimes it seems like that bad information is pushed more than the good information. It's a lot easier to go along with something that confirms what is sensationalizes a belief or something, rather than a boring, dull, okay, well, here's the facts.
One of the problems.
That's right. The reason you tie that. Sorry, Raj, but
no, go ahead, Sam.
If you tie the internet with deep fake technology and chat GTP, how do you even know that what you're watching is wrong or is false? Is it now a matter of, well, it doesn't match my beliefs, so it's wrong, or hey, it matches my beliefs, must be right?
Because clearly the only option that we have is for our educational system to move forward with teaching students solid epistemology.
That's exactly what they are doing in Sweden. They are teaching their school children to be having critical thinking, how to validate. Because what has happened with internet is that there is this perception that if something comes out of a computer, it is superior and it is right. So that's the first problem. Now, ChatGPT is that problem on steroids, because ChatGPT is artificial intelligence. It's computer plus something more on top of it, right? And the other problem is somebody has to train ChatGPT. So I was talking about the TV Ontario interview that I saw. It had a person who was working on ChatGPT. She's a university employee. She's working on it. And her point of view was more from a technological aspect of, getting ChatGPT to do everything. But there were social guys people coming from a sociological aspect, they were saying that who is going to be the gatekeeper of the training material that goes into Chat GPT, and how do they make sure that they are giving real information to it and fake news doesn't get filtered into it, right?
I don't think you can. I think that Chat GTP just pulls from the wide web, right?
Not right now. Right now, while it is in the pilot stage, there are people who are the gatekeepers. When I try to feed it information on AGT 103, etc., it did not accept it. It's right now being gatekept. But what my worry is, as soon as Microsoft puts 9 billion and it starts commercializing it, right? They are going to be like Facebook, Twitter, and all those people. They will say we are just a platform. And if somebody puts fake information out there, we are not responsible for it. And Chat GPT can then mutate all those information, pick up context from different places, and come up with new conspiracy theories.
Well, the hope, though, is IBM had a problem where its artificial intelligence learned dirty words, and basically it started using dirty words, and they had a gatekeeper. And I don't think that with Microsoft, given their legal issues, would go stray away from it. I mean, but that you've got to understand is their implementation of it. Nobody says there won't be 14 different implementations of it. Some guarded and guided, and some not so guarded and guided, and some being controlled by states not necessarily friendly to the free world, where they can use it. One of the questions I had from John, because he's mentioned this before, is that it knew from the context and learned. Is, would you though have known that you were not talking to a guru, a person, when you were dealing with it? You would have known right away, oh, it's artificial intelligence, it's artificial. That's the question I have for John.
What I was saying was that there are kind of hints that you're not dealing with a human intelligence. I will say this: it presents everything as fact. Okay, when it presents you with something, and Raj, you saw this on your video that you did,
yes,
when you were asking it about, I think it was Bluebird.
Yeah, I was asking about Bluebird and AGT.
Yeah, and it just rattled off what it felt was an absolute fact, and then you came back and pushed back on it, and then it said, "Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry for the confusion." It's very good at apologies too, by the way.
No egos.
but it is extremely confident that it is giving you the facts every time it presents it. It never says, "Well, I'm not sure about this, but here's what I think." Hasn't done that once.
No, but John,
I did have. Yes.
But John, it told me many times that I do not know this because I have been trained only up to September 2021. That's how I knew that it had a database cutoff at September 21.
Yeah. That it'll do. Okay, but if it's going to present you with something, it's 100% sure it's right until you prove it wrong, and then it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for the confusion. I was wrong." Okay.
Well, I wonder if anybody started challenging it, but on a known fact.
I did
something, try to challenge it
Raj
with
did.
a known fact. That'd be a neat experiment.
Yeah, I did that, and it
Raj actually did that.
Yeah, it apologized and did corrections first time.
No, what I'm saying is, when Chat GTP states a fact, that we all agree is a fact, if you were to challenge it and say that is not a fact, I wonder if
I understand what you're saying.
Would react.
John, that is something you should probably do in one of your episodes.
Like,
we'll see.
Jewish space lasers or something.
That is interesting, though. I hear where you're coming from. So here's another use case.
To see how it reacts.
Yep. Here's another use case I did. I actually, on 3 different occasions, have tried to have it write lyrics to songs. Okay. And in all 3, they are the most depressing lyrics you've ever read in your life. Okay.
Country songs, huh?
And the third one was so down that I responded with, "You seem depressed. Are you okay?" The response was, it played the "I'm just an AI, I don't actually have feelings" card, you know.
I'm not really Johnny
yeah,
Cash.
but oh man, really, yeah, really depressing stuff. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't
the
think
key
I'll be using
question
it
with
to
that,
write any
John, is
songs.
did they say its girlfriend left for another AI or something like that?
No, it just was really some down stuff.
So,
But yeah,
but John, if you got it to write lyrics, right? I believe we already have other AIs like DAL-E, which does the paintings. And then there's another AI which can do musicals. The way it does the musicals is that it takes a picture. So if you have a picture of somebody riding a horse and you scan it and feed it to the AI as a picture file, then it converts it into some kind of data, and then it creates music, and then you can tell it to change the voice to Snoop Dogg or something like that. I've seen a video
Well, your
on that.
iPhone does that with your pictures.
Yeah. So you have a situation where you could sit in your garage with a chat GPT kind of AI, and that will make all kinds of music, and whichever sounds good, you just package it and sell it on the internet. Amazing.
You
there you
got
go.
a
There you
reverb
go.
or something.
So
Yeah.
You got a reverb or something.
Yeah.
I believe that there is now a plugin or a menu choice in Microsoft's development tool, Visual Studio, for getting AI generated code. And I think it's through GitHub. Microsoft bought GitHub. Git is a version control system that is the latest thing that everybody uses for their source control. And Git was this, online, I should say GitHub. GitHub was this online Git repository where, people just would park their stuff. And open source used it a lot. You could make projects public and post them up there, and then people could branch from there and make their own changes and check them in. And that's how the open source community works. But you can also put private Git repositories up there. Microsoft bought it and then adopted Git because Microsoft has had over the years a couple of different proprietary source repositories, and neither one of them, one of them wasn't particularly good, and the other one was just like way too complicated. So now they've adopted Git, and they bought GitHub, and I think GitHub has an AI code generator built into it now. And I think that is now being incorporated into Visual Studio. So at some point, I'll play around with that, and there may be an episode for that as well.
Sounds good.
But we'll see. I got to play.
So in conclusion, what I would say is that we had a great chat today, but maybe next time we meet, let us talk about the other aspects of ChatGPT. Maybe we could look at the employment or the social angle, and then we can look at other aspects. So until we meet again.
I'm really interested in the corporate application of ChatGTP. How are utility companies using ChatGTP? What does that look like?
And even airlines could use it. There are so many companies, they could use it. There may be a lot of use cases. And now, for example,
Palantir uses it.
Yeah, there are possibilities that instead of having your you always see a chat 24/7 for support in most of the websites.
Oh, that's great. Customer service. Yeah. Perfect.
Well,
There's a-
they've already sort of been doing that, but they haven't done it with the latest AI, with ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's
but
annoying when you get it
there's
too.
there's been automated. Yeah, yeah, I know. So yeah, when I upload this video, you're going to see that the interaction with ChatGPT to develop this code was very natural. It was able to do what I wanted it to do with very minimal direction. Okay, so unlike other code generators I've dealt with in the past, this one I didn't have to like drag it kicking and screaming across the solution I wanted. This one I just was like, in fact, I was purposely vague in a lot of places just to see what it would do, and every time it guessed, and it guessed correctly for the most part. So it's pretty impressive. And the thing we have to remember is that the thing we have to remember with ChatGPT is that this is version 1. It is literally in its infancy, and that's part of the reason I'm excited about it is the fact that yeah, it's in its infancy and it's already pretty good. And with Microsoft involved, my experience with Microsoft over the decades has been that version 1 of anything Microsoft puts out is terrible, right? I mean, version 1.0 of anything that company puts out is generally awful. But the next version is considerably better, and 3 versions down the road, they've hit it, right? They always get to where they're going, and this one isn't even awful. So I'm very excited for the future of this.
Yeah, me too.
Well, one thing, whenever I'm talking to people that are, in our age group, you call them boomers, and they talk about how, they don't like the way things are changing and stuff. And I like to kind of poke the bear a little bit and say, well, the world we live in is going to change more in the next 10 years than it has in the last 100 years.
Bang
So
on.
strap your boots on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are so many great things happening right now. Guys, thanks for joining me. It's around 6:25 right now, so it's kind of a timeout zone for me. I had to go and feed my dog.
Yes.
So
all right.
I got to feed chickens, man. We're getting lots of eggs.
it's been wonderful talking. I think we should chat again, and for the next session again, we look at other aspects of ChatGPT, and we'll get back together again. And maybe if you guys enjoy this chat, we'll have it as a regular feature, and we'll talk about ChatGPT and other things. There are so many interesting things that we would like to talk about related to genomics as well as peripheral to it. It'll be interesting. Instead of just talking about genomics every day, that kind of saturates my mind. So this is a very welcome distraction for me.
All right. Good.
Thanks, guys.
Good
You
job,
as well.
Raj.
Take care, guys.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.